Yeah, you think you know just how I feel. 'Cause you sense a lot and feel it all, but this feels too real. 'Cause I've been sketching up the sweetheart neckline since I was a teen.
Welcome to East Coast DNA. For anyone that's a big fan of East Coast music, you're probably already familiar with who my guest is today. We have Kinley here. Welcome, Kinley.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
So right off the bat, for people that maybe are not familiar with you, or people that maybe are trying to put the finger on exactly why they recognize you. So back years ago, you would have been part of the band that everyone in the East Coast was aware of, Hey Rosetta. So
True.
a lot of recognition from that, I'm sure. I know you weren't in that band in the original lineup, but you started quite early in your own personal career. So you joined them as a fiddle player.
Mm-hmm.
So I know of you more so from your solo career the last few years, which makes this interview really convenient for me. So yeah, we can talk about Hey Rosetta for a little bit, but I will admit that I wasn't around for a lot of that. Just before we started this, we were talking about, I'm from Glasgow, Nova Scotia. We have the big Jubilee Music Festival that just finished. So I'm familiar with the name being listed at some point in the history. I'm aware of the singles that wrote at the time. And that's an infamous band because of partially, besides the fact that you had a lot of success, that the band's never actually formally been listed online in anything that I've seen as broken up, that you went on a hiatus. But yourself having a solo career, and another name from that band that a lot of people would know would be the frontman Tim Baker, who's constantly touring around the East Coast. So I know he also has his own fan base. But I'm really curious myself as a Kinley fan. I was curious where that is, like Tim and Hey Rosetta as a whole would be considered a Newfoundland-based band.
Mm-hmm.
But you are a Prince Edward Island-based person.
It's true.
So how did it come about that? I know it was quite quickly you finishing secondary school, like you went right into your music career. So how did that happen that you ended up hooking up with the Newfoundland band?
Yeah. Well, how did it happen? So I went to UPEI for a couple of years, took some psychology courses, just trying to find myself. And then I switched over to Halifax because I ran into Lenny Gallant's violinist and I was like, how do I do what you do? I want to be you. And he was like, go to Dell, take lessons from Philippe Jokic, learn how to sing backup, and you can play in any band. And I was like, okay, great. So I went to Dell, met a bunch of amazing musicians. Half of them were from PEI along the way. I'll get into that in a minute. But on the day that I graduated with a degree in viola performance, like classical music, I'd got an email a little while before from a friend of mine from PEI who was going to university at Memorial, and she was studying music and she was playing violin and she was filling in with this band called Hey Rosetta. And she said, you know what, they asked me to go on tour, but like, I don't know if I'm a touring person. Like I'm gonna be a teacher. I think I want to be a teacher. So I'm gonna stay at home. She's like, would you mind like filling in for these shows? Like there's a show in Halifax, PEI. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So the day after I graduated, this band full of bros pulled up at my door and I like gave them pancakes. I was like, hi, I'm Kinley. I'm gonna play with you for a few shows. And I was just like instantly loved all of them. I was like, you're my family. They're so sweet. It was such a fun time. So that was like way back in 2008. And then I ended up staying for 10 years.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And then we toured the whole world like many, many times over. It was so fun. And I had the best time ever. So yeah, it just kind of was like I thought it was going to be like a couple shows, and then 10 years later, now we're on a hike.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was so cool.
And now I'm going to ask a completely rudimentary follow-up. And this is something I've never asked anyone on the podcast before, because it makes me look completely ignorant where I'm talking to musicians all the time. What is the difference between saying that you're fiddle versus violin?
Right. Okay. There we go. Love this. Not an ignorant question at all. Nobody really knows. They're like, what is that thing? So a violin, well, first of all, I'll start with viola. So viola is a little bit bigger than a violin, and you still play it like on your shoulder, but it doesn't have the high E string that a violin,
Okay.
but it does have a lower C string, like similar to a cello. So it's bigger, has like a richer sound. I love it. I started playing it in grade 8 when my music teacher was like, everyone put your arms out. And she's like, Kinley, you have the longest arms. You're going to play this. And I was like, what?
Awesome.
This is so embarrassing. And like, anyway, I learned to love it. And it really like worked out because I got so many future gigs out of it because they're like, oh, you can play violin and viola. Perfect. But the difference between a violin and a viola and a fiddle is nothing, just the way that's played. So they're the same instrument, but it's just the kind of style of music that you play on it. So
that's very informative. I have had some of those conversations with some of my musician friends before, but I know that if I'm asking it myself, that I probably have fans out there that watch the show that are like, what is the difference?
Oh yeah, people ask me that all the time. I'm like, just the style. Whatever, like, it's just up to the person what they want to call it. I'm like, I don't know, fiddle, violin, it's all the same to me. So
And so you had a passion for going into a stringed instrument in the first place, and you've already said how you had the suggestion of being able to do backup vocals. So did you just fall in love with singing over the years working with Hey Rosetta?
I love singing harmony, and I love like I'm such a fan of Hey Rosetta. Like, even if I was like toured with them for 10 years, I'm like, it's still one of my favorite bands. Like, I still think there's some smash hits. That band is so good. I love them. But singing, I always kind of just like sang along to the radio, sang harmony. I was never like the melody person. I was just like, oh, this sounds good. Like, I'm always trying to add something to it. And then singing with Hey Rosetta was really fun. And then during the time like I was playing with them, I was also juggling and playing with Jen Grant and playing with her band and with Rose Cousins. So I was just like surrounded by music, and Jen and Danny Ledwell were my roommates at one point, and so was Rose at one point. So I was just like surrounded by like beautiful music all the time. So I feel very lucky that I got to play, just like be part of those things. And then it wasn't until I was making a record with my cousin Liam Corcoran, who's speaking of DNA, he's the singer of 2 Hours Traffic. So we had a little like a duo project called The Express, and we made this one album with Dale Murray over in Dartmouth, and which was really fun. And at one point, Liam was like, he's like, yeah, so sing here, sing here. He's like, why don't you write your own songs for this? And I was like, what? And never even thought of like, that's crazy talk. So then I did. And then the first song I ever wrote was Sharpshooter. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. I actually love singing. So yeah, I'm still like, don't think of myself as a singer. I'm like, I'm a songwriter and a violin and a violist, because I'm just like, that's not me. But anyway, I'm having fun. Like, it's going great. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things I do like about interviewing East Coast musicians, some people say that the East Coast music scene is very incestuous and that a lot of people are in multiple bands.
Truth.
But I also love having these conversations because as you're talking casually about what you did, like you're really name dropping a lot unintentionally.
Just can't help it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the 2 Hours Traffic, we're familiar with them here as well. You mentioned Dale as well. I am curious. I'm unaware of any of it, but being that you have quite an extensive back catalog at this point, did you ever do anything with Christina Martin as well?
Oh yeah, I played on her albums.
Yeah. Okay.
It's I played on like quite a few. Actually, I was making like my little inventory. I'm such a nerd these days. I'm like, where is the money coming from? Okay, great. So I played on violin and viola on over 500 tracks of other people's. So
yeah, when I was researching, I'm like, I can't research all that. Like, I'm aware of a lot of it, but I'm like, I'm not aware of 500 tracks. Like,
I feel
expensive.
super lucky to be like asked to play on people's albums like all the time. Like, and so I would mostly like record in Halifax, like at the Mullet or with Danny Ledwell or a bunch of Halifax like studios, which I was super lucky. And then Danny, who's my friend, kind of taught me how to record at home. So when I moved to PI, he was just like, this is how you use Cubase. This is where you put the mic. And I was like, this is a game changer. So now I can just record strings on my own apartment, which is really, really awesome.
But it is amazing to be able to do it on your own, even if you're just starting off. To learn something, like, how far you can get on your own, but just being able to start something, like I'm here in my apartment right now, it's very convenient that I can do it whenever I want.
Exactly. Isn't it crazy? And so I was just like, I always thought like, oh, I only know how to do violin and viola. And then I don't know if we'll jump into the single right now, but just when I met Corey to do the most recent single, he was like,
Yes.
okay, send me a little demo. So I was like, okay, I have to record myself playing tenor guitar and vocals. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. So then I did it. And then he just did this magic and like mastered and like put, I don't know. I don't know what he does. He's a magician. He put stuff on it. I was like, oh, we're using what I recorded for the single. That's crazy. Anyway, so that was the first time I've ever recorded myself live where it was like used.
Oh, okay.
Learning every day. I'm learning.
So a name that you had mentioned, like where you also had a lot of Prince Edward Island music connections, which makes sense being that you're based there. One of the names I picked up that you collaborated with early on, Dennis Ellsworth as well.
Oh yeah.
So that would be one of those people, I assume, because he's also based in Prince Edward Island.
Yeah. Yeah. We made two records together. We only released one. Dennis, where's the other one? Anyways. He'll figure it out soon. Yeah, he's an amazing songwriter. He can write a song in a second. So beautiful too. Yeah, we had a great time. We toured a bit together, like in Europe and then in Canada. He's fun. He's doing amazing also on his own, but also with his fabulously rich band. It's like
yes,
cover band. Man, he sounds exactly like Gord Downie. It's crazy.
Yeah, so. No, they're that band. I'm aware of Dennis individually, but that band as well is one that I've been following since I've been doing the podcast thing as well. I realize they get quite a large fan base out there for what they're doing. Them and Swift Kick doing the Taylor Swift covers,
right?
Like for tribute acts, they're both doing phenomenal. Like
I know, I'm so proud. I'm a Swiftie, so I'm like obsessed with them. And Laura sounds exactly like Taylor. I'm like, how is she doing this? It's so good. Yeah,
no, it's amazing. By the time people are watching this, they just played down the street from my apartment there too. So shout out to those guys. Maybe I'll have them on at some point.
Oh my God, I heard a rumor this morning. So my dad is a drummer, and he heard from another drummer friend that the Swift Kick drummer, Brady, has a new drum throne which like has the pulse of the tempo that it like boosts your butt. So like you feel
that sounds fun.
Let's go. I was like, that's fancy. They're getting that Swift Kick money.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking for that when I catch them live for sure. Now yourself, we had already alluded to the fact that you have a new single, but like we had actually had a conversation over a year ago about meeting up to do something like this in person when we were at, I think it was one of the ECMAs.
ECMAs are crazy. Like,
I know. It's just it becomes so overwhelming once you're on the scene. It's ridiculous. But then right after that, you went into Single City where you're releasing successful singles. The Eiffel Tower was on like the East Coast charts for like months. Like
I know, it's so cool.
It was very much something that was stuck in my head for a long period of time, like a little earworm. So I was excited to see the success of that, but I do see that you've been doing a lot of singles over the last while. So I'm excited to hear that there's at least an album's worth of material out there that was not released when you were talking about Dennis as well. So do you have plans for long-term to collect some of these singles, or are you sticking with the modern era of digital single releases?
I feel like singles are the way to go. Like everyone I talk to, like different people have different ideas, but most people are like, if you can just like ride a single wave for a while, then just release another single on to the next one and the next one. I'm like, that sounds great to me. And I don't know, I have a few more songs that I would love to be recorded, and then a couple co-writes that might be happening someday soon, which I'm super excited about. But the album with Dennis was like, we had this other project we had the Dennis Ellsworth and Kinley Dowling, which was like beautiful, folky duo vibes. And then we also have Grand Finale, which is more of like pop, electro, different things. So this would be a Grand Finale record that's in the hopper, but I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna have to talk to Vince. Vince, if you're watching.
A few little Easter eggs. Hopefully we see something come out of that in the future.
Yeah, they're fun. They're really fun.
Anyway, and now I don't think you do it now, but I may be wrong. When I was originally talking to you, I was curious. You were hosting like an open mic at Baba's?
I do. Still do it every Wednesday. It's lit. It's crazy. You never know what's going to happen there.
So yeah, for any of we have a few fans that are over in Prince Edward Island, and definitely this time of year is the perfect time to be going and visiting. So
Okay.
for anyone that wants to go down to Bubba's Lounge and catch the open mic, do you want to give a little rundown on what you do? Because it's different than some of the other open mics I've seen.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's every Wednesday at Bob. Sorry, that's my dog Ralphie. There must be someone. And Ralph. Okay, he's good.
Yeah.
It's every Wednesday at Baba's, which is above Cedar's Eatery. It's this restaurant that's been there since like the 70s or 80s. It's amazing. It's like this amazing family that owns it. My friend Ryan Abdallah runs it. And he just asked me a couple years ago to host it. He's like, I just want to get like new songwriters in, like to work on their new songs. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. Okay, I love that. So it's every Wednesday from 9 till midnight. It really starts at 9:30 because musicians are late.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it costs $7, cheapest show in town. But then you get a free drink for your performance. So
Oh, cool.
pretty good deal. And every week there's like a bunch of regulars, but there's always like new people coming in and like some pretty heavyweights too coming into. Like Kelly Loader was in last time she was in
Cool.
their town. Tim Baker stopped by after his show at the PI Brewing Company.
Oh,
So
that's fun.
yeah, Liam's been there. Like it's really, really fun. And there's so many like really incredible up and coming artists that are just like trying stuff out for the first time. I'm like, man, that's so cool. And I kind of like I was like, oh, what am I doing? But I actually really, really love it. And I toured with Kathleen Edwards a couple of years ago, and
Mhm.
she was like, oh, that's amazing that you're doing it. She's like, that's how I got started. I just did open mics. And I was like, okay, like I might be fostering a Kathleen Edwards here. You never know what's gonna happen. And it's very wild. And there's also like comedy, there's poetry, interpretive dance, lots of music, like drag. There's everything. It's wild. It's so fun.
I have seen, and then this isn't me at all trying to pressure you to continue doing it, but I did see a few times, and there was once in particular I can remember you posted like so many reels of like, it must have been everyone that performed that evening.
Oh yeah, I do that every day, every week.
Yeah, like I was going through and I was really surprised by the diversity of the different art styles. Like it wasn't all just music, and it
Yeah,
seemed like everyone was having a great time. Like
it's true.
it's cool to be
Yeah,
able to maintain an audience with the diversity at the same time. Like
yeah,
they don't
exactly.
know what they're going for, but they're there for it, which is
Exactly. Yeah,
really
it's a
cool.
wild card. Every Wednesday is a wild card. And I started like taking like little videos of some people, and then I noticed like more people were watching my stories like Thursday morning. They're like,
Mhm.
and then more people around the world like message me every Thursday. They're like, can't wait for breakfast. Like we watched what happened. So I'm like, okay, all right, people are watching. So now I started taking little videos of everyone, and everyone's just like really excited because there's like usually around like 300 people that watch the stories on Thursday morning from the
But
Wednesday show.
that's
So
amazing exposure.
yeah.
I actually kind of took a little note from your playbook, and a local musician that people that watch it know who I'm talking about. But I was traveling with them when they were doing the same thing, hosting an open mic through the past year.
Nice.
And I got right into that too. I'm like, oh, like there's regulars, and then like when the newcomers come, it's nice to find who they are. And occasionally, like somebody else is in the city and they just happen to be walking by. I'm like, hey, I'll pop up on the mic for a little bit. It's like
Exactly. Which
it's
is what
exciting.
happened the last Wednesday. There was this trio from Romania. They're
Oh
just
yeah.
like they just showed up wearing these like insane outfits, like with a saxophone and a trumpet, and everyone was like, "What was that?" So I'm like, "What's your Instagram?" And so I tagged them, and then they got some followers. It's like it's just like a cool thing to meet people and interesting musicians. Yeah.
It works out for networking really well too.
Yeah.
So kind of leaning on that note too, your video that you had out like for 2024 single releases, you released Charlotte like earlier in this year.
Feels like 2 years ago, but
I
yeah.
know when I was like, no, Eiffel Tower's here. I'm like, wow, that's all been in the last year or so. Like, first of all, congratulations. That's a successful run. But I
Yeah.
am curious that Charlotte video,
Mhm.
the dancers that you have in it and et cetera, et cetera. It's very artsy video, which I loved it.
Cool.
But
Thank
are
you.
those regulars from your, like, do you know those people from open mic?
Yes, and we shot it at Baba's where I
Yeah.
It's right on the stage. And so the main performer, Soraya, I met her at open mic. She was amazing. And I was like, can you be in a video? And then the other woman in it, I know her, Cameron, she's like an amazing actor. And then Selecta Chevron, I met him at open mic too. I'm like, all right,
Wow.
this is perfect. And then the bartender was a real bartender, Steph, who was there every week. And I was like, here we go.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I recognized the location right away.
Nice.
And then it just drew me right in. Like it was questions constantly popping in my head, but like it is a really cool I like the whole concept of the black and white and
Thank you.
the
Yeah.
pacing of it. It just it
Thanks.
really grabs you.
Cool. Well, I'll give a shout out to Jenna McMillan. She's the director and co-producer with me. She's amazing. She's like pretty much brought this. I know it's been happening for a year, but like years like in the making, but she just has a lot of connections to the film industry and like and she's in Toronto for years and then she just moved back kind of recently and now she's like really making this awesome film community on PEI. And then it was also edited by Millefiore Clarks. Millefiore, I love saying her name. And she's such a true artist and like everything she does is beautiful. So I was so excited that I got to work with the two of them to make this.
I love seeing the collaboration between the different art disciplines. So it's exciting to know that there's a nice community in PEI that's producing the stuff and you can do it yourselves.
Yeah.
And at that level too, like it's the quality that you'd get if you went anywhere to find professionals. It's just you're able to do it in your backyard, which is even better.
Super lucky. Yeah.
And now we had already referenced it, but you have a brand new single that was just released.
Yes.
And it was produced by Corey LeRue.
Woo-hoo. He's amazing.
So, oh yeah, Corey's definitely been referenced. We've met, but he's not been featured on the show directly, but probably half a dozen guests of the last year have had singles produced by Corey LeRue.
I believe it.
I could see why you want to work with him, and he's very successful in that area. But how did it come to be that you were working with Corey yourself?
Well, I met him for the first time. Like I'd been a fan of his stuff, like and Neon Dreams and like everything he was doing with other artists. And I was like, man, why does it sound so good? Like everything sounds like a radio hit. I'm like, man, the guy's just super talented. So I was at the ECMAs for like the Sunday morning, like the industry awards, which I almost didn't go to, but thank frig I did. I went with my friend Ashley Ann Clark, who is nominated for Artist of the Year, which she's amazing. Oh, here's some of her art right now. She mostly makes like cute
amazing.
Yeah, but she shot the music video for Marrying Me. So she's so good. So I went with her and I was like, ooh, there's free eggs. I'm coming to this every year forever. So and he had just won Producer of the Year. And so we were leaving, just leaving the Delta, and I ran into him in the hallway just like by chance. And I was like, oh my gosh, congratulations. And I said to his wife, like, good luck, congratulations to you, because she's like about to have a baby any minute. And I was like, oh, I'm such a fan of your work, Corey. And he's like, oh, I'm such a fan of you. I was like, what? Do you even know who I am? Like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, have a great day. And then I was like, oh, that was awesome. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have a CD in my bag, like one of my CDs. So I saw him a few minutes later as he was like leaving the Delta Hotel and just slipped it in his little Sobeys bag. And I was like, just in case you want to listen to it, no pressure. And then I got a message from him that night, and him and his wife listened to the CD on their way home, and he's like, I think we should work together. He's like, do you got any demos? And I was like, I'll make one right now. Like, so I had this song that I wrote a year ago. So, oh, there goes the bells again. So I was just like, I'll try and do like a little crappy demo. I've never really made a demo, which is so silly because I like professionally record violin and viola all the time. But I was like, here we go. I'm good. Like, what did Danny teach me? Everything about the mic placement. Here we go. And so I sent him this demo and he's like, awesome. Sounds good. Mind if I mess with it? And I was like, do your thing, like do your magic. And then he sent it back like within 48 hours. And I was like, I love it. It's like perfect. And he's like, okay, do you want to like add some more ooze on there or something? And I was like, okay. So I threw some ooze, threw some violin and viola, and he's like, love it. And within 7 days, he produced, recorded, mixed, mastered it. It was done. I was like, oh my God, that was so easy and so fun. Like he was like, I have no ego. Like if you want to change anything, I'm not gonna feel bad about it. I was like, I also have no ego. And I was like, and I love it. It's perfect. Like don't change a thing. Anyway, it was the smoothest, fastest, like collab ever. And I can't wait to do it again someday.
I've heard similar things from anyone that's worked with him too. So it's great to hear that he's able to collaborate with everyone. And to your point, it seems like everything he touches, it's very, very, very radio friendly, and it seems to appeal to the public very quickly. So that's an awesome bonus for everyone involved.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you to your parents for making you. Magic.
And the song itself, Marrying Me. So where did you get the inspiration for this song? Like, is this one that you just wrote him as a demo then?
Well, I had it like, I'd kind of been playing it at open mic for a little bit, and I was just like, it had a much more devastating bridge that he cut out, and I was like, that's for the best.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, I write very, very personal lyrics, and sometimes when I get to a producer, they're like, let's just make this a little more friendly to the public. I'm like, oh yeah, right. Other people are gonna hear this. I always forget. I'm like, I just write it for myself.
I like the upbeat sad songs. I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I don't know. I like sad lyrics, but if you can put it in an upbeat song, even better.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of wrote it. I don't know. It seemed like everyone around me was getting married, and I was just like, wow, I thought by 25 I'd be like married with a house and a horse and a trampoline and a pool. And I'm like, wow, I'm 41 in an apartment with a tiny dog. But I have this great boyfriend. But we just had this conversation. And I was like, oh man, like, can't wait to like get married someday. Like I would have these flowers. And he's like, oh, like I'd just been imagining it since I was a kid, like as a lot of girls do. Like, what's your dress gonna look like? And then he's European, and he was just like, oh, I don't really believe in marriage. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And anyway, and then I kind of just like shut down and like started writing the song immediately. I was like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then a year later, he's like, that's not what I said. He's like, I think people can be together for their whole lives. You just don't need a piece of paper about it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna release this song.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God. He's like, tell your parents. That's not what I said. Like, what? Anyway, but then I also noticed like all of my friends that got married are now all divorced and on to their second marriage. So I'm like, what is marriage? Anyway, and then I just thought in the end, what's really important is just have love for yourself. And I was like, you know what? Your own self is always going to be there for you. It's also a cheaper divorce.
Yes, definitely.
Anyway, so yeah, marry me. Why not? And then people started sending me articles about this woman in PEI who like married herself and like sent all these invitations to her family around the world, and they all came to PEI, and she's like, surprise, it's just a family reunion, but I knew you wouldn't come. But if it was a marriage, she's like, guess what? I'm just marrying myself. I was like, that's amazing. I love it. Yeah.
And now the music video to go along with that, what was that project like? Because I love the beach, but I do not like, I do a little bit of photography. I do some videography. Like, so I'm familiar with some of that. I would not bring any of my equipment to the beach. I'd be devastated. I'm sure the professionals with experience have the right equipment and they know what to do, but how was the experience of filming a video on a beach?
Oh, it was awesome. So it was my friend Ashley Ann Clark, and she was just gonna take the photo, like for the single, like me in my mom's wedding dress, like on the beach. And then she was like, a few days before, she was like, you know what? I always wanted to make a music video, but I've not. She's like, I do all this art and all photography. She's like, I'd love to just try one. Can we make one? And I was like, sure. And then she's like, it's for this much money. And I was like, you betcha, let's do it. Because I was like, I don't have a budget right now. But she knocked it out of the park. She was just like, let's just see what happens. Let's just vibe with it. And she's one of my best friends. So I was like, whatever you think, you're an artist, let's go. So got in my little wedding dress. We drove to Brackley Beach, which is so beautiful on the North Shore. And yeah, she just like had her camera, which is also like a video camera. I don't know much about the technical stuff, but I don't think she really cares about getting things dirty. She's like always has black ink all over her hands from
okay.
She's like, let's just see what happens. And like, and then she had just bought this kaleidoscope, like little fake camera. So she put it in front of the camera. And so she's moving it the whole time. And yeah, she just made magic. And it was so fun to like just be with her. And then she's like, oh, dandelions. We need to jump into this farmer's field. jump the fence. And I was like, are we going to get the boot? She's like, we got to do this fast. Go, 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 go. I'm like, all right. And then we were in someone's driveway for something else. I was like, I think this is Allison and Aaron's house. So if they come out, we'll be good. But like, she's like, let's go, 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 go. So it was very like quick, but still relaxed. And it was really fun. Yeah. And I think she did a great job. And I think her partner is Jurl, who's like a rapper in, oh my gosh, in Cape Breton.
Okay.
He's an amazing rapper. So I think she's going to make a music video for him soon. So
Cool.
watch it.
Well, send them my way if they end up finishing that project and want to do a promo. I'm actually going to be in the near future covering some rap events that are happening in the Glace Bay area. So it's perfect time, a little bit of Cape Breton rap for people to get into.
Sweet. That sounds great.
And now for anyone that's new to you or they're really interested in learning more about Marrying Me, the video's easy to find on YouTube, but you also have your own website. Where would you point people to go find out more about you and keep track going forward?
Well, I'm very lucky that my dad is my admin assistant. So he like updates my website. So I'd say go there because it has links to everything. So it's just www.kinleymusic.com and it has links. I'm most active on Instagram, I'd say these days.
Yeah.
Just fun.
I'd say most musicians probably are most active on Instagram, but your website, shout out to your dad.
Thanks, Dad.
It's laid out. You can tell somebody's spending time on it. Because I was even looking at it thinking like, oh, I gotta get an East Coast DNA website going. Like you have all the videos laid out with like a little description beside each one. I'm like, oh wow, like it's very slick. So anyone who wants to watch a music video can go right to your website there too and get it from there.
Perfect. Thanks.
And do you have anything planned in the next few months? Like the single just came out. So I'm expecting you have some live performance dates coming up.
You know what? I did them already.
Okay.
Things over with in the summer. I'm like, I had like a pretty busy summer, playing some really magical shows. One of my favorites was with a songwriter circle with Alicia Toner, Megan Blanchard, and Amelia May. And we had a live painter, Emily Howard. She's one of the most incredible painters ever. That just happened last week. So I'm still like coming down from that. It was so beautiful. Yeah, I'm mostly playing a lot of gigs in the next few weeks, but they're private weddings, so
sure,
probably not going to be selling tickets to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, pop by. We're in Montague next week. But I'm playing with Atlantic String Machine mostly, so I'm playing violin. So yeah,
something
nothing
else to keep out.
I think there might be a show. Oh no, that one's not announced. I'm not allowed to say it. So nothing.
Pay attention to the website, people. That's where you're going to find the information.
Yeah, I feel like this winter I would really love to record some more or write and record some more tunes with people. I'm really focusing most of my time these days on sync, so getting my music in film and TV. That's where it's at.
Yeah, and that's where to go.
I got a couple that are upcoming. There's a show coming out in the fall on Fox America, and then I got a Hallmark movie which I think is coming in September as well. So
amazing.
Exciting. Yeah.
Well, I would suggest that either way, maybe in a couple months time, reach back out to me and we'll have you back on and get an update on what's going on there too. I'd like to point people to the different properties that you have the sync licensing for, but also get an update on what's going to be the next follow-up from Marrying Me, because I'm sure it's going to be just as exciting.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, I'd love to. Sure.
And I will actually be bringing the show back over to Prince Edward Island at least one more time this year. So if I'm heading over and have enough time to give you advance notice, maybe I'll be able to swing by Bubba's or we can meet up somewhere while I'm over there.
Awesome. Yeah. Were you at Cavendish Beach?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome. And we'll be back for Somo, and there's a couple other things I'm in conversations for too. So we'll be in touch.
Watching Noah, but I'm also there's this cool thing in Music PEI. They have the ripple effect, so they've made this safer spaces tent. So I work at that. So like someone's
cool.
on a good time, there's like a counselor on hand, and we're giving out condoms and stickers. It's really fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely swing by and see you there too, and keep in touch in the future.
Perfect.
So for anyone watching, if you stick around, we're gonna play off today with the new single "Marrying Me."
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Everywhere I go, bells start to ring, and I'm ready to dive in and show you how I feel. I want you to love me and share everything, but I guess you don't feel the same, so I'm marrying me. Yeah, you think you wrote, you think you know just how I feel, 'cause you sense a lot and feel it all, but this feels too real. 'Cause I've been sketching up the sweetheart neckline since I was a teen. Ooh, love, it's my favorite daydream. It's not all about the white dress, the photo session, the diamond ring. It's all about the love song, not what went wrong or what could have been. You say forever just ain't a thing. Well, I guess I got my answer. I'm marrying me. I'm marrying me. Well, I dreamed someone would love me and get down on one knee, but I guess not everybody is a bride to be. Slow breathing, trying not to take it personally, but the one I wanna be with doesn't wanna marry me. It's not all about the white dress, the photo session, the diamond ring. It's all about the love song, not what went wrong or what could have been. You say forever just ain't a thing. Well, I guess I got my answer. I'm marrying me. I'm marrying me. It's not all about the white dress, the photo session, or diamond ring. It's all about the love song, not what went wrong or what could have been. And you say forever just ain't a thing. Well, I guess I got my answer. I'm marrying me. It's not all about the white dress, the photo session, the diamond ring. It's all about the love song, not